Hey, welcome to the 518th episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by patron Nick Lane. I'm Matt Unlow.
And I'm Oren Kaplan, and today we have our good, dear friend on. We were supposed to have her. She was not available, but we got Carlyn Hudson instead. Thank you, Carlyn.
Classic Oren intro. You had to throw a dad joke dig in there,
Just a roast right away.
Dads aren't that mean. But I am pitching on a roast-related thing, so maybe that's why it's happening. But Carlyn, we're here to talk about, kind of like a mini roast of sorts. We're talking about, when we've worked with collaborators, whether producers, cinematographers, production designers, PAs, anything, and we have kind of a questionable experience in trying to figure out whether we should try to work it out or try to move on and kind of break down that decision process, because it's something that we've all gone through over our careers and even maybe recently.
I think that part of the resource that this show provides is like a chance for directors to vent and commiserate a little bit, and that we three will text each other and complain sometimes, but that aspect of the show, we don't really do that on the show very much. So this is a complain fest.
My first time complaining on the show. Our friend Tony Capastione.
About people specifically? Yeah, I would say,
Okay. Tony will text me, I mentioned, every week and say like, hey, I totally relate to this thing that you guys are talking about. So I do feel like people are kind of getting it from the podcast, but it is fun to have. I was just thinking today how lucky I am that I have people like you guys that I can be like, this thing is driving me crazy about work. What do you think? Because I don't think everyone has that, especially directors without podcasts.
Well, I think
there's 3 or 4 of them.
I was talking to my brother about job stuff, and I was like, dude, I was up for 150 things last year. Like imagine if your friend was like, hey, I interviewed for 150 jobs and I got 10 of them.
Yeah,
you know
which
what I mean?
I actually do think it's kind of a common thing nowadays in the
Sure.
AI
Interviewing though, I think is actually applying to that many, absolutely. But interviews, maybe not. But we are just in a different ecosystem and a different lifestyle, so it's hard to find people who relate to that sort of experience.
Sometimes even our spouses, for some reason, don't want to hear us complaining anymore and keep asking why they married us.
I really wanted that toilet paper commercial. It would have been so good.
I haven't done a toilet paper commercial. Charmin, pretty fun.
I think you had a bad time on it, and we talked about it on the show. Yeah, sorry, Carlyn.
I guess and this came up because I just had a shoot very recently, and I called Oren because I was like, man, I just don't totally know what to do. I had not a great experience. It wasn't the worst experience. It wasn't like this person, dropped a racial slur and I had to fire them. It wasn't cut and dry, but there was just enough missteps that all together, I just was like, I've worked with them before and I quite like them personally, but I just don't know what I should do. Should I call them and talk it out, or I just don't feel super comfortable moving forward with this person, but I also have had a couple other good shoots with them.
Yeah. No, cut and dry is nice when you have that, because it's
easy.
It's easy. You're like, hey, you were supposed to be here and you didn't show up. When we all moved to LA, we probably hired PAs on Craigslist that just never came. And it's we will never hire them again, obviously. But when they're kind of trying to do a good job, but they aren't doing it either the way you like or kind of up to your standards.
Right.
Or just personality-wise, they don't fit. So we're going to talk about some of these issues that are common.
I think also, and I've talked about this on the show before, but Carlyn and I worked together briefly at the end of last year, and I saw that Carlyn has stepped into her straight up era. You are just very direct when you have an issue with something or conflict, or just you disagree with a decision. You're just really clear. You do not mince words in a way that I really admire.
And do you know why she's direct?
She's the director.
She's the director. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And so I think it's really interesting to have you on to talk about conflict, basically, because you do it differently than I do. I'm like,
and you would say, Matt,
but what
that
if,
Carlyn's more direct than you?
Yeah.
Based on
absolutely.
your work.
Absolutely.
Your job with her.
That's
absolutely. So funny too, because when we did that project, I was like, what is he talking about? What did I even say? That wasn't even being direct.
Sure.
I've certainly been more direct and / yeah, you're right though. This year and last year, I feel I don't know. I think for so many years in my career, I was like, just be cool, You got to be easy to work with. The thing is, and now I trust that I am cool and I am like genuinely a kind person. So now with that baseline, okay, Warren made a face, but with that baseline, I can trust that I need to trust myself and advocate for what I think is going to make the best project. And so I'm starting to really do that sort of unabashedly.
Which is our job, right? Like there's a reason there's multiple stakeholders, right?
Yeah.
A producer is there to keep things on schedule and to keep things, on budget, right? So if they're worrying about that, your job is to worry about the creative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously we have to be malleable in certain ways, like the resources are the resources. But I think that too often, if you end up caving on something that you believe in, we've all seen how that can really make the end product suffer.
Absolutely.
And that's the whole point of why we're there, right?
Yeah.
I think when you start in this business, you think that you'll get hired again if you're really nice and easy to work with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize at some point, you're like, hey, they hired me on all their low budget jobs. But once they got a budget, they hired the kind of not that nice person whose work is really good and clearly holds their work up to a much higher standard than I do, who I'm like, I'd like for this to be a dolly shot, but you know what? Let's just do the Zoom in. It's easier. It's faster. We're running late.
Yeah.
And
just for your sake, Carlyn, you were not mean. You were just very clear in a way. The difference being like, I don't know. I guess we could do it that way, but I'm pretty torn. That's how I would start. And you were like, hey, I don't think it's a good idea to do this, and here's why. And you were just very plain. It was not emotionally charged in any way,
and that's why you guys didn't get
lunch
maybe
a tiny bit annoyed, but not you were not rude or difficult in any way. You were just very clear.
Yeah.
Matt,
I appreciate that.
Matt and I just had a conversation with a treatment designer, and she does treatments for like the biggest director, like the most like top 20 commercial directors. You've definitely heard of all of them. And I was like, so what do they do when they get on the call with the client? Are they like, what's the deal? And she's like, pretty much across the board, they come on a call and they say, hey, your creative is not very good. This is what it needs to be. And she said they just like book and shoot and win jobs left and right. And and I remember, I've probably told the story before, but when Tom and I had co-directed a job a couple of years ago with Tom Morris, and he's just like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
He had me on speakerphone when we were doing our first call with the producer and the agency and deciding where to shoot this thing. And so him and his wife were both hearing me say, like, why would we shoot this in Dallas? There's zero reason to shoot in Dallas. Let's shoot in LA because we have better crew, we have better location, we all live here, we can pre-scout, we can do all this stuff. And Tom said that him and his wife were had their mouths covered. And they were shocked by how mean I was, not mean, but like assertive, I guess. I wasn't not taking their suggestion. But I ended up shooting in LA and they never hired me again. Who knows what happened?
I think you're leaving out a few details as to why.
I can't wait to hear. I can't wait to hear the episode with that treatment designer. Exciting.
Oh, no, that was just a conversation.
It wasn't. Yeah,
it was just a bar.
We met her at a party.
Yeah.
Matt and I go to parties, talk to people.
And you don't invite me?
We should have.
I did invite you actually, and you did not come.
Was I out of town? You didn't invite me.
It was Rebecca Niles' party.
I was out of town.
Oh, you were in Mexico.
I was in Mexico.
Whatever. So inconvenient.
You were shooting in Mexico
country
City.
over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
So back on track.
Yeah. So
I could also give some I don't know. I could also give examples of like what happened.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Okay. So on this job, I do feel for this. As a producer, I'll just say it because it was a challenging job. Like budget, as we all love to say these days, budget challenged. It was a budget challenge. And so I think the other jobs we've worked on together were more simple. Like they just were one location, kind of more contained cast. And this ended up being 2 locations, a company moved, 18 actors. Like it was kind of a bigger job for 4 leads and then a bunch of background. And so, it was like it was like a big job. And so I think the main thing that there was just kind of like sloppiness throughout. Like I think the big things were taken care of, but consistently details were overlooked.
I don't want to pick on this person specifically, but I am curious about what details you noticed because I will often complain about the coffee not being ready.
Yeah.
And it's not that the coffee is important to me. It is, but I drink my coffee on the drive over. It's that it's a red flag that if the thing that's supposed to be ready first,
the filmmaking 101. like community
then
move is
what
not done.
I can tell that this is the tip of the iceberg and that there are other things that are not ready. And so
Yeah.
but that's partially due to my ignorance
Caffeine
as to
addiction.
the inner machinations of what production is working on, So what
Yeah.
did you notice? What was your first red flag?
Well, the first red flag, and this kind of is piggybacking a little bit off of me being like such a direct, what's the opposite of conflict averse? I'm not like pro conflict, but I have zero problem having
you're-
tough
You're
conversations.
streamlining communication.
Yeah, I love.
Yeah. You cut to the quick.
I cut to the quick. So in the beginning, this budget was challenging. We were originally going to do a studio build and then like shoot in one part. We were going to rent like a big space that has a real location. I'm trying to be like sort of big. I'm also like terrible at hiding when I'm talking about. So there's like a real location in one part of the area. And then in the other part of the stage, we were going to do like a build. But as conversations with the agency progressed, I got a real bad feeling that we were just never going to be able to live up to this luxury standards with our tiny budget studio build. So I made a tough call of like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice like a location move in the middle of the day so that we can go to a real house because we just never could get there. Like there's no fucking way with 20 grand or whatever, we could build like a beautiful home with dimension and texture and great furniture that we could get if we'd shot in a real house.
And just to give context to listeners who maybe have never directed like a 6 or 7 figure commercial, dollar commercial, we usually have probably like a 10 or a 12-hour day and a company move.
Was
any
it
way
10
you
or 12
slice it.
actually, Carlyn? Just for specifics, was it 10?
We made it a 12. Yeah, it turned into a 12.
Yeah.
But that 12-hour day, you're probably shooting for at most 10 hours, right?
Yeah, and no pre-light and pre-build.
Mhm.
Right.
All
so you gotta
load
light
in,
it.
so-
You gotta stop for lunch. You gotta do all this stuff, right? So when you commit to a company move, there's like no way, unless it's literally the house next door. There's no way that you can do it in like less than 2 hours.
I'll push
And
back
probably
even if it's the
3.
house, next door. It's
And
2
actually,
hours.
this was very close. This location
Yeah.
was 0.4 miles away, so it was close.
You have to get into vehicles, right?
You have to
Once
get
you get into
vehicle.
vehicles, and so that you're losing 20% of your shooting hours, maybe more, by committing to a company move. That's why I think when you do a small indie film or you're doing like a montage or a tourism spot and you're like, hey, we're going to shoot 7 locations today. But you're sending, here's 2 actors. We're going to shoot this at golden hour. And here's like a grip with a bounce board.
Right.
It's not the same as
different.
moving an entire
40
20-person
people.
client and agency video village
A lot.
that, and all the coffee that Matt needs, the appropriate roasted beans or whatever. So it's a huge sacrifice to do a company move on a commercial.
Yes. But I made the decision based on the fact that I thought, I'm just following my gut here. I feel like we're setting ourselves up for failure. No one's going to be happy with the build. Like we're just going to have to do the move. And then, but leading up to that conversation, I feel like this producer kept being like, I'll just talk to them. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I'll figure it out. I'll talk to them. And I was like, and then I would trust them to do that. And then I would still get confusing information back. And I was like, put me on the phone with them. Like, I will have this conversation. I will talk to them. I will make a case. And then I did everything that I could. If they still choose to do the build or whatever, then but we get on the phone,
Sure.
I give them my pitch and they're immediately like, yeah, whatever Carlyn says, like, that's fine. So it kind of started off like a little, like the communication was a problem. That's one of my.
To be fair, I'm not saying. I think it sounds like this person did drop the ball and didn't communicate it as clearly as you wanted. Sometimes we do have to be aware of the status and privilege that directors have in pitching things. Like one person could have pitched it literally the exact same way that you do.
Totally.
And then you step in and they're like, oh, Carlyn's cool. And we hired Carlyn and Carlyn's vision and all that stuff. And they just hear it differently. Right. So, so that's another reason to want to do it, not because you don't trust them, but because it's different coming from the director.
100%. I always say on set to different departments, I'm like, if there's something sticky that you really need, I will pitch it because they are way more likely to say yes to me. So that was sort of like in prep. And then, we get to like the agency dinner and, I actually was involved in, I'm sort of like getting more, I don't know. Also this year I've been more into our jobs as like client services, right? And Oren knows. And so I've been kind of
I'm jealous of your
I've been kind of
ability
involved
to
in
do that.
in the gifts that we give people. I think they're important. And I think sometimes you can be a great director, you have a great spot, but if you get them like a cool, like it's the other job, we got the girls in Mexico, like this expensive perfume that they were eyeing. And I heard them talking about, but they're like, oh, I can't spend the money. And I was like texting my producer, thinking, these are the perfumes to buy these women. And we put them as a gift in their hotel room. And they were
the gift in the hotel room. Oh,
yes,
so
it's a good move.
Yeah.
And and so for this job, I wanted to continue this and be like, we picked up very specific gifts for them, and we get to the agency dinner, and we're kind of like seeing if they like the gifts. And well, this person, I haven't put the bags together yet. Oh, I was just going to give it to them on set. And I was like,
I have a whole plan, and you're kind of unintentionally derailing it.
And
right,
it's too late.
Because you've learned that like perfumes are such a perfect gift, not only because it's what they wanted, but also like they catch you with them themselves, and they're reminded like, oh, Carlyn's so thoughtful. This production's going so well.
Olfactory genius.
Yeah. There was like a specific part of the gift that, we wanted to include because it had to do with the product and the thing that we're talking about. And it just would be like, it was just like a fun special gift on top of like the imposter merch and like hotel room snacks. Yeah. And that was just like, it's the stuff like that kept happening. Like at the fitting, my costume designer didn't have rack. Nobody let her in early. And they were like, she was like, where are the racks? And they're like, I don't know where the racks are. And stuff like details like that, we're like,
that add up.
That add up.
And make you look bad, which isn't, it's not personally important. Like I just want to preface, it's like all of these things that we're talking about, it's not like you actually care about how good the client smells or, are we 5 minutes behind? It's not that big a deal, but it's all, to your point, a client services experience, because we all know that no one knows how good the commercial is or isn't when they've wrapped. Right?
Yeah.
Like we think that shots maybe look good or like it was really
Everyone
funny
thinks
in
it's
the
amazing,
moment.
except for the director.
Or they're unsure. They
know.
decide whether it was a good shoot or not at the most halfway in. Could be much earlier, right? So are they vibing with you? Are they having a good time? Do they feel safe?
Right.
Do they feel like things are running smoothly? That's the stuff that they report back to their bosses. And in this era of holding companies, there are only so many agencies. There's only so many people that we get to work with. And so if you blow a relationship or blow the opportunity to improve a relationship, which is what you're really getting at, that means significant changes to our livelihood and to the success of the entire company that you're working with, right? Your friends. Yeah. You want those people all to work.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is when you pitch on a job, you are pitching yourself with the company, right? And so let's say that company hired wardrobe assistant that forgot to showed up late and didn't let the wardrobe person in and didn't have the racks. And you can't, when that happens, you as the director can't say like, oh, sorry, the wardrobe assistant messed up. They suck.
Yeah.
They represent you.
Yes.
They're part of your sales pitch. So when someone that's not you messes up this client service relationship, it's on you, right?
Yeah. And I really, again, I'm like really making a concerted effort. Like even this agency was talking about how much they love sourdough bread. And I go, oh, have you had Bubs and Grandma on the east side of LA? And they've never heard of it. And so I woke up early before PPM and fittings day to get them fucking Bubs and Grandma bread. And our producer was like, well, I can send a PA. And I was like, I don't trust you.
Yeah.
I don't trust you to do it. And so
I'm going to be like, ooh, I like that painting. It's really cool. See what happens.
I also do
Carlyn, I love your dog.
Yeah. Here she is. You can have her.
I'll take 4 terriers for Matt. I would love to see that actually.
Yeah. So I think that like in particular this job for me, the two problems were communication and there's all the departments were complaining to me too. Like they just had a hard time getting a hold of this person's team. And so, the makeup artist calls me and says, hey, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I can't get a hold of them. And like, what are we shooting?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, it's funny because a good producer has like a ton of foresight, right? They're seeing the things. They're like, hey, you mentioned that one thing about maroon shirts, on the call offhandedly. Is that something you want me to look into? They're like gathering things and staying one step ahead of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when you're just trying to get them to just be responsible for the normal things. And I was kind of trying to think about how this applies to people other than producers.
Oh,
and
that's a good point.
Matt and I always talk about like PAs. Like the best PAs are the ones that are like just going around looking to see if trash needs to be empty.
Mhm.
They're keeping the set clean. They're not just like
Mhm.
waiting. And it's basically being proactive is kind of like the number one way that you can
Or
look
even
good to
looking
someone on
ready
set.
with a PA. If you're PAing right now and you're listening to this, like look like you're working. Not like, oh, like be sweeping or whatever. I'm saying just like be there and like be alert, because like we've all seen like two PA bros, one of them doesn't have sleeves and they're both just like joking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No
You know what I'm
laughing
talking
on our
about?
sets. Not on a comedy set.
I'm not
That
saying
doesn't
don't
happen.
have fun. I'm saying it looks like you guys are fucking off, and I think there's probably some stuff that needs to be done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
just
and-
stand next to the person who's going to tell you what to do and then fuck around.
Yeah.
I want to be the cool guy who comes over and makes some jokes with you. But
Sorry.
No,
I'm
please.
like, I'm just cutting you. And I just think, again, like I keep going back to this whole detail-oriented thing, but that does apply to all departments, right? It's like you can light a scene and it looks nice, or, it's like this beautifully lit kind of even space. But then when there's little spotlights, that could make the difference between something looking like 80% good or like 100% special, or like in wardrobe, like accessories matter, textures matter. Fabrics matter. Like those little things in all departments actually add up to elevating our craft in a big way.
I just had a shoot where the camera operator, the Steadicam operator, came to set and had not looked at the storyboards, and it was like one of those scouts where everyone had the printed out storyboards in the morning, including him. And this was like halfway through the day, and I was like, so you saw the boards? He's like, no, just tell me what happened, And
you're like, dude, I like spent so much time on those boards. Like, it's okay if you're like, hey, I saw the boards and I still don't get it. That's totally fine.
No, yeah.
Totally
I have
fine.
a question.
Yeah.
Or, oh, shoot, I didn't have the boards. Sorry, where are they?
Frankly, that's better than fine. That's really good. I want you to be thoughtful enough to like ask the question if you're unclear in some way. That's awesome.
But not looking at the boards is an instant, like, I'm not going to, because I'm making this for you. And I think, the other thing I was going to bring up kind of related to what Carlyn was saying is that, and this is going to sound kind of not cool, but our crew, especially the crew that we hire, like we're their client, like they need to do client services for us. So if the DP is not looking at the script before the tech scout, if the makeup artist is like, what are we shooting? I have no idea how many people I have, and they're on set that morning, then they have lost our. We want them to try to impress us in the way that we're trying to impress our clients, right?
Impress is maybe a different word than I would use. I want to trust them, right? Which is what we're really talking about. Because if we know that they've got it covered, then if they do make a mistake, it's not a big deal, right? Like we all know this is a really hard job, and this is really demanding. So like mistakes are going to happen. None of us are upset about mistakes.
No.
But there's a big difference between phoning it in or not paying attention and making an honest mistake, right? The other thing that I keep thinking about through all of this, Carlyn, is that whether it's a producer or hair and makeup or wardrobe or whomever, all our department heads make very active decisions on who they hire to support them.
Yeah.
And one of the things I love the most about the production side of filmmaking is like there is real apprenticeship in a way that I don't see in other businesses in quite the same way. And it's really special. And so when you see a department head that hires someone that they can depend on, that the baseline is covered so that they can do the special stuff.
Yep.
Right. And so a lot of what you were alluding to, Oren, of like, being detail oriented, if a producer has hired an awesome coordinator, then they're not thinking about payroll or any of the other stuff, all the machinations that I said I was like a little ignorant of. They get to do the special stuff. They get to add that extra sauce on top. But if they didn't hire somebody who's awesome, or if they didn't do a good job training that person,
and I think these people were really burnt out and overworked, and maybe doubled, tripled.
100%. 100%.
And I get it. We're all freelance, but you have to do not say yes to a job unless you can do it well or well enough.
And I think we all do that, right? It doesn't matter if we're getting $100,000 or $100. Once we commit to a job, we're going to push as hard as we can to make it as good as it can be.
1000%. Even I did this like favor job for Gray and like the New York festivals and whatever. I made a treatment. I did storyboard. I did everything and I got paid nothing. You know what I mean? I did it for fun and I gave it my all because I was like, if I'm going to commit to this, I'm going to do it. And like they were so impressed. And I just thought, well, how crazy would that be if I said yes to this thing and I just half-assed it? You
just
know?
didn't do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of being flaky is probably the worst thing that you can be if you want to move up in this business.
Yeah.
Are there any other things that people might do that will make you not hire them again?
And where do I begin? I mean, I think going back to what Matt said about mistakes, I think we all make mistakes. It's inevitable. Just admit it and own it. And then I'm like not a person who holds grudges at all. I really am very quick to forgive people as long as they say, oh man, I fucked that up. My bad.
Shoot,
then
that's on me. Next.
Great.
Yeah.
No
problem.
Have you ever hired or worked with people that just aren't very experienced, that are kind of newer, greener, and that's kind of the reason that they're not good? Like they're kind of at a different level in their career than the project demands?
Yes. And I actually think maybe this is what you were teeing me up to say, but almost always the thing that to me tips someone off to being green is that they act like they know more than they do.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
The number one tell.
The number one tell,
they
right?
don't ask questions. Yeah.
The older we all get and the more experience we all get, the more you can admit that I have no fucking clue what I'm doing and I'm learning every day.
And it's way easier when you have a reel of like when you've had logged 1,000 days on set too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But when you've logged 4 days on set, then you might be embarrassed to say like, I don't know, like what,
And
you know.
say, hey, I'm kind of embarrassed to ask this because maybe I should already know, but X, Y, and Z. And then I think that was charming. You know, I'd be like, oh, great. You know?
Yeah. And also people kind of, there's so many subdivisions of filmmaking that like, maybe if you came up in music videos and this is your first commercial, there are going to be things that are different and that's totally okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But I will say, I think it's not, I want our listeners to know, especially newer people in this industry, to know that that is usually not a reason that we are like, don't want to hire someone again, is inexperience. Because people, I think, might think that. But the only time for me it happens is like really with actors. Sometimes, you know, we'll audition someone, client agency love them because they have the exact right look and they were charming as they were walking into the room, you know, but once the camera turns on, they just cannot really, they just don't have the confidence to just deliver the same thing over and over, or take notes, do little things. Like a lot of my notes in casting, especially non-union, is like feels green, you know? And like I want them to learn how to hit marks and stuff on somebody else's set.
Hitting marks, I think, is one thing. I think, Carlyn, this kind of echoes your point about the asking questions. When actors think that they need to be perfect on the first take or second take, that's the real thing that's bothersome to me. And when they start spiraling, it's like, no, we're going to do this a bunch. So like, don't worry about it. We're going to do it a bunch of different ways. And you don't know what's good or not, frankly, because we're still figuring it all out, you know?
But also we've all worked with actors that take one, you're like, damn, we could move on.
Yeah,
right?
But it's not a problem if I need to take a second take.
Yeah.
Or a third take.
Yeah.
Or a fifth take. It's a problem when you seize up because of it. That's the issue.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. What's something that really gets under your skin?
Well, the one other thing that you mentioned,
Oren,
Carlyn, is like sometimes
Welcome to my life, Carlyn.
I was trying to talk.
Really teed me up.
Oh, are you on this podcast? Sure. Do you want to
No, after you, Carlyn, or after you, Orlando.
I was going to bring something up that Carlyn brought before we started recording, which is some people, especially when you've hired them a few times in the past, they kind of feel like entitled to getting the job. And I know, Matt, you were kind of turned off by me using the word impressed, but like that people should be trying to impress us in the way that we're trying to impress our clients. But as much as it's a business and we are selling toilet paper or whatever, like it's still, there is an art and a craft, and we want to climb to the top of it and impress. We want to impress people, and we want to, like, I love it when my DP is like, I've got this gaffer that's got this incredible rig. Can we show you this lighting change? And I just had to shoot on Thursday, not like a budget challenge shoot. My DP's like, we set this thing up where the lights kind of spin for the intro part. Do you want to do that? And it was like the agency and client came in like after we shot, and they're like, we weren't even expecting those spinning lights. That was so awesome. Thanks for doing that, Oren. And I'm like, you're welcome. But like how...
Then they made you look good.
Yeah. And I would tell my DP like, hey, bring that gaffer again, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And impressed, it's not a semantics thing. It's like, it's about being committed and being excited to be there for sure. And like, I think what we're talking about is that's the standard that we're all committed to, right? Like we are all playing pro ball. Like being a commercial director or just an active filmmaker in Los Angeles, especially in these days, means that you have to be ready to bring it. And when you take that for granted, it's a bummer. It's a bummer, for sure.
And I want to stress that every position can impress. Like when I did this shoot in Seattle a few weeks ago, one of the grips, I don't even think he was like the dolly, he was not the key grip or anything, had built this rig where we can connect our camera to like a bowling ball shooter, that we can roll down the lane and then slow down and the ball can keep going. And he was like showing it to us, like, before we got to that shot. It's like, hey, do you guys think this will work? And he like demoed it in the like hotel ballroom. And we're like, yes, fuck yes.
And
awesome.
when
That's
that
cool.
stuff happens, it's the spice of life. It's why we do it. Like when you see a fellow craftsperson bring it in a way that's exciting and impressive and unique.
And you see they're enjoying it too.
Or just nailing the thing that we do every single day. You could like be stoked on like a perfect dolly move or like an awesome book light. That's why we're here. I'm getting high thinking about it.
You know what I
mean?
love is a Steadicam operator where you're like, okay, let's do a take. Can you think of the coolest thing you've ever done with your Steadicam and just do it for this shot,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you bring me some ideas on how to move the camera since you're the expert at it,
I'm curious if somebody does something awesome and the client says, "Oh, hey, Oren, awesome job." What do you two say?
I almost
Carlyn, we love the spinning lights. Yeah.
I almost always try to give people credit. I think whenever I feel like when I was coming up in my career and when I saw people doing that, it made me think like, what a cool, confident person that they can share credit. And I want to be like that too. I want to be like so confident in my craft that I can totally give anybody their flowers, even if it's the PA who had the idea. I hope I do that. That's my hope. I'm like,
But you can also own it by saying like, we hired this amazing DP.
Yeah.
They're the best. I'm so stoked
amazing
we get to work
gaffer.
with
We
them.
brought this cool team.
Well, even on our shoot that didn't happen, Matt, it wasn't me that had the idea to change something to like the LED mask that was going to come off of this celeb space. It was some kind of random person. I think the client was like, "We love that." And I was like, "Oh, it was like Sarah's idea. Isn't that cool?" I remember saying that and I was like, "Oh, I'm glad that's who I want to be."
Glad you said that. Sure. Yeah. And the reason I ask is I think that you two, I'm assuming, are very good at that. I always worry that it's like accidentally self-deprecating. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think.
Well, you shouldn't say like it wasn't my idea. Mikey wanted to do it.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think that this is exactly why it's important when people are not meeting our expectations on set that we try to not hire them. or sometimes just like take a break from them and see who else will do it. Right? Yes. Correct. Teeth.
I'll say there's a reason I saved my pet peeve is like, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this without sounding like a complete egomaniac as a white straight male with a podcast.
Who can't wait?
It's not a very popular podcast. Don't worry.
Yeah, sure. At least there's that.
True.
It bothers me when people underestimate or second guess my experience. Do you know what I mean? Like we've all been doing this for a while now. And it's not that I want people to push back for sure. Absolutely. But I guess when I get the sense that they don't know where I'm coming from, it can bother me a little bit.
Can you give an example?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you're on like smaller jobs, right? Where like maybe the people that they work with this is their second or third rodeo and not their 95th rodeo. And you're kind of like, no, I'm right. I'm telling you I'm right. And it's just kind of a little bit out of their situation. Like for example, there was one time I was working with a new producer, didn't really know me. And we were shooting, the final deliverable was vertical. We only had a certain number of cameras and this and that. And there was a lot of different talking heads. And I was like, these people are in a panel. I can shoot horizontally and shoot at a higher resolution and get 3 singles out of this one wide. And the producer was like, no, it's vertical. You can't shoot horizontal. And I was just like, I like, honestly, I short circuited in like trying to explain to him. I was like, what? And eventually I had to like, go around him and be like, hey, DP, you guys have worked with a bunch of times. this is what I'd like to do. And he was like, oh yeah, that's actually a really good idea. Now we have 2 other cameras we can use for other things.
Yeah. And it's
And
like,
I
you
just
don't
was
need
like,
to be
I'm getting
technical.
mad thinking about it again.
Yeah.
it
You
is
know what I
annoying.
mean?
Well, that's just like, yeah, that person to have so little self-awareness of like, you're the director, this is your job. And then also
Sure.
it so confidently.
And also just, it was a thing, and it was just one-on-one too. So like no one else was there to witness or kind of like, you couldn't read the room. It couldn't be like, oh, and maybe Matt is right. Or maybe the opposite where I'm realize, oh, I am taking crazy pills and was misunderstood. But if you boil it down to, I said, I want to shoot horizontal, but the deliverable is vertical on just without any other understanding or context, I understand that sounds wrong. Right.
Mhm.
But as soon as you understand it half a step deeper, it immediately falls apart. And it was just like infuriating.
Yeah. And a great producer would say, okay, cool. Let's talk to the DP, in post and see if that's an option or not, and instead of saying no. I had this thing last week on a shoot. No one was really pushing back, but we were shooting like a wide, a medium, and a close of a person like walking and talking to the camera. And I wanted to start with the medium shot. And everyone's like, why on earth would you start with the medium shot? It's, you always start with the wide shot. We figure out the lighting, we figure out the art, and then we go. And I was like, look, this commercial, first of all, our wide shot is kind of sucks. Like we have some art issues. We don't have enough curtains to cover this thing. Like I know for a fact that this client is the main shot of this spot is the medium shot.
Right.
Let's get this shot right.
I want this
Let's
agency,
prioritize
and
it.
it's like a celebrity, the agency people and the client to instantly, when we turn on the monitor for them, to be like, ooh, we like this. And I know that if we start with the wide shot, it's going to be like, why is this here? And why I have to explain to them what we're going to change in post. Now we're going to reframe this and an open gate and like all this stuff. Like if we start with the medium, they'll be happy. And also I think we'll get the best performance. We'll figure out the lighting. And honestly, like I want to build the wide around the medium because the medium is the hero shot here. It's like a walk and talk medium shot. And everyone's like, okay, cool. But I think it does help to, when we've done the reps and when you don't have to be technical to be a director, but it helps like in your situation, Matt, to say like, what's the vertical resolution? 1920,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
That we need?
exactly.
Like we're shooting 2300, whatever,
Right.
And to be fair, I was like so caught off guard that I could hardly articulate. I was like, I couldn't believe it. Just seemed like an obvious yes that like when there was pushback,
right.
I was just like, well, now my head is spinning. I think the other thing that's hard for other crew members to understand is that unlike most of the other departments, we have to deal with the ramifications of these decisions. And also we're there for all of those internal conversations in advance of that. Right. So we know we have the context of understanding what the client likes and dislikes. And then also we've shot a bunch and had to see how that pays off in the edit.
Yeah.
Right. So
we know actually way more about post than most line producers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Most line producers don't have to do post at all, right? Or in the back of the house for all of it. And that's not a flex or a brag. That's just like the experience of having to live with the consequences of all of these decisions, right?
I guess I also would want to think about if I were in the position of receiving feedback, would I be open to that? And could I hear it and not be defensive?
Right.
I hope I could.
I think that's the problem is I'm sure all three of us are very worried about people's feelings, which I think is a right way to approach life in relationships.
Right.
And to be a nice person.
But I think it's worse. I guess like when I was single, so it was a long time ago, when I would date people,
I don't remember that
my
time.
friends thought it was crazy that I would go on a date and I would tell them sort of the truth or some version of the truth, which I would, instead of just ghosting, which I just hate, I would be like, hey, so great to meet you, not feeling the love connection, but best of luck. Thanks for hanging out. And like 75% of the time, it got a pretty good response. And 1 out of 4 times, people were pretty defensive.
Well, yeah.
Kind of
Look,
hurt.
nobody wants to hear, hey, you're not my type,
But I'm like, but I may not be your type either,
Sure.
No,
and also
I know.
ghosting sucks. Ghosting's
even
the worst.
Even if you're not my type, I still want to feel like I'm saying there's a human reaction when someone says like, hey, you were awesome, but for this next job, we found a better fit. I remember Matt one time, Kara auditioned for something that he was directing. And then he was like,
always cast Kara, actually.
No, it was for the sleep, like a sleep competition.
Funny.
Host or something. And you're like, yeah, we ended up going a different direction. And I was like, God fucking damn it. Different direction. What the hell does that mean? Which is a 100% unacceptable thing. But I think we just have to accept it. And as directors, we get rejected so much.
Wait, sorry. You hated me saying we went in a different direction?
You wanted more specific.
I didn't hate you.
No.
You love your wife.
I'm just saying in the most innocent way possible, like it still hurts a little bit. And so we need to accept that when we say to a DP that's like one of our best friends or whatever, hey, I'm going to try someone else this next time. Like we can't not expect them to have their feelings hurt, you know?
Yeah.
And I think the best thing we can do is be honest with them and be like, hey, this is why, you know, if you had that. And you know, I guess one other solution that Carlyn and Matt and I have been kind of talking about is like the subtle hints, the like showing. And I do this thing with producers recently, ever since Matt and Jordan Brady convinced me that like producers can really like help my life in a good way. I talk to producers about what I like about producers, you know, and I find it helps. And I tell them like, hey, I worked with this producer in Canada, Jeff, that every evening would send me an email saying, hey, this is what's on the calendar for tomorrow. And that's what's on the calendar for the next day.
A dream.
We have an 11 a.m. meeting. Here's the Google Meet. We have a Zoom with the agency in the evening. If there's an optional dinner, you can come and not come.
Oh man,
Dream.
knowing after the shoot is incredible. Right, because you're like you're in your hotel room and you're like, "Am I supposed to be hanging out with people?"
Right, because
I have to.
80% of producers are like,
you know,
"Hey, I shared the calendar with you," and you're like,
yes,
I have 8,000 calendars shared with me. I have never.
And
looked
also,
at a calendar
that
in my
calendar
life.
is an Excel sheet that has changed a couple
has
times.
Delivery
and was in
dates
the
on
PPM.
it. Yeah. So I was like, I would love it. You're like, if that's not your style, don't do it. It's fine. I can take care of it. But that's a thing that you can do. And we talked about it on the podcast, Kelly, one of my favorite producers, he orders lunch for me when I'm doing Zoom callbacks. It's such a nice thing. And it is kind of built into the budget when you do in-person callbacks anyway.
Yeah.
And it just makes my days 10 times better. That second half of the day is like 1,000% better because he does that. So I like to tell people, because not everyone knows that. It's not like there's a producing manual or school or
no
everyone
way.
does the same thing. And I think with DPs, I tell first ACs all the time, like wherever you put the monitor, put it as close as humanly possible to the set, the camera, and the worst possible thing you can do is orient it in a way where I'm looking away from set.
Yeah.
You know, you must orient it in a way where I can look above the monitor and see the actors.
I'm always
I like me too, and I think actually honestly like a little like actually claustrophobic, not just me being picky, but like I think it does physically bother me in a way when I don't have clear egress to set. So like I should be better about telling people what I'm looking for or what I need. But like if I have to like walk through a bunch of, if I can't just get to the actors, it physically bothers me in a way that makes me anxious.
Now they put my chair somewhere and I move the chair and they go, oh, you don't need to move the chair. And I put it where I want to sit. And then they move the rest of the shit over.
I don't ever sit. I know, Carlyn, I don't know if you actually sit a lot, but on your Instagram, you're in a director's chair a lot.
Just like,
I never sit. They're like, where should we put the chair? I'm like, get that chair out of here.
Well, but
basically I go like this and then I stand and then I go like this and then I stand. I'm like sitting and standing the whole day.
Yeah, like I think, Carlyn, you're getting at like where you're putting the chair is the marker for dropping a flag on this is where my village needs to be.
Correct,
basically.
but according to Oren, I'm just sitting down screaming at the act behind monitor.
No, I just don't like to literally the act of getting up and down. I don't.
Well, that's why the tall chair is so nice.
Maybe it's because
your feet dangle.
It's hard for me. Yeah, my feet are dangle. But
not short.
What was I going to say? There's this trend. I think for a while I was like, can I have a portable monitor? Because, especially with art direction, you want to be in. And
I know.
Now everyone's always handing me this portable monitor with a giant battery. It weighs like 80 pounds.
Yeah.
And I'm always losing it. And I don't know where to put it down.
You put it on your shoulder and then like it brushes against you and like goes into some other mode and you have to go walk over to the AC and you're like,
predator mode.
There's like a lot happening,
Yeah.
No.
So look, we're really in the director baby zone here, but I think what we're getting at though is that the more detail oriented we can all be, the better the whole thing is,
and it's communicating to our people what we want from them, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
Because people can't read minds, right? And that is something we all learn in relationships, romantic and otherwise. Like, you cannot expect someone to guess what you want. And so that is, I think the trick, at least for this producer that I just had, I did drop some hints and it didn't work. So, so I have to decide, do I want to have like a heart to heart with this person? Do I just let my EPs deal with it? I don't know.
Right. So, and do you talk to the worst conversation to have is to tell someone like, hey, we're letting you go. But the second worst conversation to have is to tell someone like, hey, please don't hire this person who's your friend again.
I know.
Yeah.
At least in my case, I would be open to hearing this person's perspective on like how it went for them, because I'm sure there's things that I don't know. And I'm sure there's stuff that even my company did to make their life harder. You know what I mean? I don't know the ins and outs, and I'm open to hearing them because maybe I could help too.
Carlyn, to your point about like, the customer service of it all, what I'm really hearing is that you're stepping into a certain type of producing, right? Like that's what you're talking about. Like, this is kind of like EP shit that you're doing. And like each of us steps into a part of producing the more experience we get, right? Like you understand like the big picture of it all. You want to control it and do it the way you want to do it, right? And so that leads us to like, I send every new producer that I work with a spreadsheet of like in order of preference, the crew members that I want to hire. And I'm talking sound guys on that list, DPs, like they always talk to us about the department heads, but like I'll get pretty specific.
Yeah.
And it's because of all the things that we're talking about here. It's like, I know that this is going to run cohesively and that the attitudes are going to be good and that these people all work well together. It's not the same spreadsheet for every single job. You know, you have to kind of, build it out in a way, but it's all to the same end of like trying to make something that's seamless and easy and fun. And it's not just your friends. It's the people who you like because they do really great work. Oh, and I was going to say the other trick to all of this is that as directors, we're insulated from a lot of this stuff, right? Like you were alluding to like, you don't know like what circumstances that producer was under because people like to think of us as like fancy artistes.
Yeah.
But the more you produce, the more you want to know that stuff, right?
Matt and I were both on shoots that flipped
recently
in the last few years and did not even know it until after the shoot.
Yeah. That's I'm okay like with not knowing about. Yeah. I'm great
I was on one in St. Louis that flipped maybe 2 years ago, and I they were trying not to tell me, but I'm like, something is going on. Those things are happening. There's a guy walking around with a clipboard angrily that I've never seen. I was like, something. And he was like, we're getting flipped. And I was like, okay.
Well, and at least
you're
then
more
you know,
intuitive than us.
Right? You're like, okay, got it. Next.
I am like, my wife calls me the hawk. I'm always like,
suspicious.
I'm always seeing things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
what do they call like that blonde woman that's like outside in the neighborhood, just suspicious of everyone?
You're calling me a Karen? Hold on. I might be a Karen, but being a hawk and a Karen are...
You call them like you see them, Carlyn. That's all.
It's the pejorative.
You're not conflict averse.
To the manager. That's me.
I don't know about you all, but for me...
I do think what I've kind of gotten from this conversation and the conclusion, and I think the learning lesson for me is, yes, it's easy to be like annoyed by people that we work with. I think our job, especially as directors, as people that try to be direct when they can, is to like tell people as early as possible how you like things, especially since even if this is just your third short film or whatever, you have enough experience to be like, hey, this is the way I like things.
I want to rephrase it. The way I like things, the spirit is exactly right, but it's not about personal preference. It's like, hey, this is how we can engineer this all to work as well as possible. This is how I work relative to all of these other people. So like to keep things streamlined, this is what I recommend. You know what I mean? It's not like I like it because I think I don't want this to be like, again, like directors get treated a different way, and it's not because I want 2 pumps of vanilla syrup in my latte. It's like, no, I just need caffeine so that I can get things going.
But
so
I
that
do
we all
think
can go home sooner.
2 pumps is valid. Like I tell people, I'm like, listen, I have a coffee every afternoon, like after 2:30 p.m. And most that's weird to people. A lot of people don't drink coffee like in the afternoon. And I'm like, if I do not drink that, I will get guaranteed a headache, like a migraine. Like, so I know it's weird. It's not something you need to do on every set or whatever, but can we just have some sort of hot coffee after 2:30 p.m.? That's a thing. It's not because I like it, because for fun. That's how, like you said, Matt, like how things can run smoothly. And I think to me, when the people we say these things to just drop the ball, they don't do it, they phone it in, they feel entitled to get their things, even though they're not working hard for it. that's when it's okay to be like, hey, you can, kind of give them like, hey, can we do this next time? But once it's like 2 strikes, kind of, to me, that's like when you hire the next person.
Yeah.
Or you can do what Matt wrote as his advice on our Google Doc, which is stay quiet, let it fester, and never talk to them again.
Yeah.
That is an option.
Sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I think Carlyn used the word listener question in a different way than we've ever used it, the phrase, but I think you use it as in a question we're asking our listeners.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm curious what people think, what reasons they've had to kind of break up with collaborators or
Or have you
solutions
ever
that
been
they've
on
come up with.
the receiving end of one of
yeah.
these? And like, how did that feel? If you could engineer it.
Have either of you two? Do you feel like?
For sure.
Oh, you have, Oren?
Well, for sure, as a filmmaker, I've had clients that I pitched on, won the job, and then pitched on again the next year and lost the job.
Yeah.
And I did the ServPro spot that I loved. I really, it's like one of my favorite things I did.
Yeah.
And when they were doing more ServPro spots, the agency, and who knows how true this is or not, but supposedly they told my EP at the time, I saw the boards because everyone's like, Oren, they're doing more ServPro, same agency. And I called my EP. I was like, hey, are we in on this? And he's like, Oren, yeah. Weird thing. I talked to them. They said that they felt like you didn't really bring much to the concept, so they want to go with someone else. And I was like, okay.
That's a dead eye situation. That they should not have said that to you.
Well,
I have a feeling
hold
they
on.
didn't like my EP and that they used it as an excuse.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
He has since been kicked out of almost every company he's worked at.
Oh, right. That EP. Okay. I mean, I think I've used this example before, but I lost a job once that I really thought it was to a director now at art class this was years ago, but I really was like, I have the best
Paul
feel
Scheer.
for this. I had the best call. I just was like, it was one of those jobs, happens all the time. Maybe I'm delusional, but I'm like, how did I lose this job? And they were actually, the producer was actually honest with me, and she said, this other director just had a better treatment. And so
That's okay. That I can
that's
do
okay.
for sure.
And so I saw their treatment and I go, fuck, that's a good treatment. They really crushed it.
Wait, how did you
know?
see the treatment?
Because it was one of these like small market jobs where the same producer put up 3 directors. So she showed me that director's treatment, and it was really, really good. And I was really, and that it stung for a minute because like she had a better treatment than me, but I was really happy to have an actionable critique, constructive criticism.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard when it's personal. When it's like I had that. I had a vibe check with a company for Joybird, this like furniture company. I think Matt has a couch from them.
I have that couch.
And there was something about the call where I just felt like they didn't really like me,
Yeah.
And then 15 minutes after the call, the EP's like, yeah, they're not going to have you pitch on it, And I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and look, it's hard to not take that personally, but I think the flip side, we've all worked with people. Actors are a really easy example where you're like, I'm not sure about them, and then you have them on later, and maybe you love them, and maybe you were like, oh, I was right, but like, it's hard because like they don't really need to like us,
No.
But because we work with them so much,
Are you talking about agencies?
Yeah, agencies. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying there's so many good directors that like, how do you differentiate between us, right? Maybe the treatment is different. Maybe they're better at pitching. Maybe you just want to hang out with them.
Maybe they get a really nice bottle of perfume for you.
Exactly.
Maybe they get a nice bottle of perfume for you. Yeah. Maybe they're like, hey, I like Carlyn, right?
Yeah.
She's
I
great
know.
at the little things, right?
Yeah.
That's really what we're talking about. Is
Carlyn's
how do
okay,
we
but
do the
her
little
perfume.
things?
Honestly, if that makes me get a job in this market,
Deal.
Why is that any different than any other fucking reason? You know what I mean? You're like, well,
Yeah.
she's thoughtful and she sent me some flowers for my birthday and I like her. Great.
That's her way of bowing
But
down.
it's another, organized, pays attention, good with details, resourcest. That's all of those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's a hawk. Yeah.
Okay.
Not a Karen, a hawk.
Yeah, not a Karen in the world. You have just 2 minutes
Unpaid
to do an
endorsement.
unpaid endorsement with us.
Yes, because I have 2.
Ooh, good, 'cause I'm not.
Carlyn, coming in with the heat.
Unpaid endorsements.
This is an old one. Have you seen the Chloe Zhao Hamnet dance takes?
So
Yeah.
good.
How is that old? That movie came out like 6 months ago.
It's only a
Well,
month or 2 ago that those came
yeah.
out, right?
Yeah. It's not that
Chloe
old.
Zhao
but
dance.
They're
looking it
very
up.
joyful and delightful to watch.
So she talked about it a little bit actually at the DGA stuff, but basically that movie is so heavy psychically, right? And she did so much work, like internal work with Jesse Buckley in particular, but Paul Mescal as well, about like, and the kids, you know, everyone's got this just like this pent up energy, and they're talking about their dreams, and they're, you know, just living in this grief, that at the end of setups, she would do a dance take. She would like literally have everyone dance to just physically release all of that tension and energy so that they could be people, basically. And so it became like marketing materials because they would roll cameras on them. But so like there's the shots like where they're at the Globe and like everyone's like grieving the death of this child, and they're watching Hamlet for the first time, and it's so incredible. And then you see them all dancing their asses off in this crazy jubilation, and it's really powerful and cool. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. It's like cool. It's really, really cool.
I find Chloe Zhao, hearing her speak or hearing stories like this, to be so depressing.
Because she's a magic witch, and
because I realize I'll never be a good director. Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Like you hear these stories and you're like, what? Where? Yeah. Like the dreams thing when we saw her speak.
Yeah.
Everyone is, but there's, I mean, think about like so many great directors are not touchy-feely like she is.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
name two.
David Fincher?
Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
Those guys are hacks.
Ice cold.
And I'm not ice cold, and you're not ice cold, Matt. I don't know. Oren, depends on the day for you.
I thought Oppenheimer was explosive.
There are just many ways to be a great director, but she definitely connects with her cast on such a deep emotional level. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's funny. We've had guests on here where we're like, God, they act like they're so good with actors, and we're good with actors. And maybe I'm just insanely jealous of someone. Anyhow, Carlyn, what do you got?
Well, the first thing I've got is a snack recipe. You should have to bear with me because I'm
recipe. I'm with.
I'm so obsessed with this snack. I cannot get enough. I'm starting to wonder what's wrong with me because it's been 3 months straight and I have it almost every day. Like when I'm on location, I miss this snack. So it's just Greek yogurt, ideally Fage, full fat with a little honey.
Full fat, okay.
Full fat. Okay, I know you.
Fagey.
Cannot talk about your.
No. I like the full fat.
Okay, and so then you put a little honey to sweeten it just a tiny bit. Slice up some grapefruit.
Okay.
Pistachios.
What if you're on cholesterol medicine?
Yeah, pistachios and salt.
Ooh,
salt.
Like rock salt?
Yeah, like Maldon, like flaky salt. And I had a version of this at like a coffee shop in Buellton. Shout out Sideways, a wine country here in California. And
wait, which coffee shop?
It's a new one. It's like a brand new, like very hip one. This is what I was eating earlier. I eat it every day.
Awesome.
And it's so delicious. And I'm like, I think it's pretty healthy. Like grapefruit, pistachios,
I think
yogurt.
it's all great for you.
And
I do a similar thing.
Yeah, you do a similar thing.
I do almonds, strawberries, blueberries. And
there you go.
I love granola, but I want to make my own granola. I just think it's going to be so expensive.
No, it's so easy. I make my own granola all the time.
Oh, really?
And there's so much sugar in granola. So if you make it yourself, it's a...
You just put like a little bit of maple syrup and
Can you send me
I'll
your
send
favorite
you a
recipe?
Yeah, I'll send you my Addison Roman recipe. Okay, and my second one is for friends who travel and you know, I don't know if Oren's been to my house. Matt, you just saw my house. I can't believe you haven't been. But anyways, I have like a pretty intense PT station. I have like a lot of foam rollers. I have a lot of tools.
Physical therapy.
Physical therapy, thank you. So when I travel, I'm always like, damn, I wish I had my foam roller. And sometimes hotels have them, sometimes they don't. But I have this thing called a peanut ball, and I'll have to grab it in a second, but it's like 2 lacrosse balls stuck together, and you put it like on your spine, and you can massage any part of your body with it, and it rocks. And it's like my travel all-star. It's like 11 bucks.
Peanut ball.
It's called a peanut ball. It's so good. I will send you the link, but it's like the perfect travel massage tool that I use it every day.
That's cool.
All right. That's awesome.
Love it.
2 solid ones.
Yes.
Well, here we go. Oren, take us home. Oren, last time he tried to endorse 2 different Trader Joe's snacks that he'd already endorsed before.
Last time, aka last night. Okay, so this is going to be just as bad because I'm going to endorse something I have not used yet, but it's like a half endorsement now, and then I'll see if I should finish it or negate
Track
it.
record on the pre-endorsement hasn't been great, but go for it.
Oh, yeah. The worst pre-endorsement was for do you remember what it's for?
The bug gun?
The bug gun.
Oh my God.
And I have one, and actually I like it. But I'm from Texas, and I know how to shoot a gun. I could teach you how to use it.
What's it called? Bug assault. The bug assault.
Because the first time my wife saw me annihilate on the first try of unfly,
She was like, "Why are you chewing all that
she
straw
was like,
while you're?"
"What the?" And I go, I've shot guns. She
Told
was
her
like,
to get off your lawn.
yeah. I was like,
not a Karen at all. So
To be really good at shooting guns to use that.
yeah, so we've talked about popcorn way too much on this podcast, but
I love popcorn.
Matt owns
yeah.
a popcorn popper, is insanely proud of it. I don't know why anyone.
No.
buy one.
I rescind it. Actually, we'll talk about it later.
Okay,
Oh,
but
no.
I don't want to buy another appliance because my wife will divorce me if I put one more thing on the counter. But so I found this thing, it's called I think there's 1,000 different versions of this. The one I bought is called the original proper popper microwave popcorn popper, and it's just a silicone bowl. Do you guys say silicone or silicone?
Silicone.
Are they both acceptable?
I think those are two different things. One has an E. Silicon
this one has
Valley.
an E at the end.
Silicone is like the material.
Yeah, I think silicone.
but it's called Silicon Valley because they make wafers, the chips, semiconductors on this material, silicone.
But
it is spelled
silicone
differently.
and I think that like rubber versus metal, basically, right? I think aren't they different? Am I an idiot? Is this a
We don't
TL
know.
that
We're
today I
directors.
learned?
No,
We don't know
silicone
this
and
stuff.
silicone are not the same thing. Matt is right. Silicon is a
Right.
natural hard semiconducting element. Damn. Okay.
Yeah, not rubber.
Okay.
Can't believe it. I thought when I lived in Silicon Valley and everyone had breast implants, I thought
Sure. There you go.
clearly I was in the wrong
Everyone.
place.
High-end studios.
Anyhow, so this thing is collapsible, so it's easy to store. Our new friend, Chuck Kinane, sent us, 7 metric tons of popcorn.
Ooh.
And
you
I'm trying to
purchased
use
it
it,
3
so-
days ago.
So
Just purchased it, but look, it gets really small.
That's great.
I'm sharing my screen, and you just
Mhm.
there's the line you fill with popcorn, and you put it in the microwave, and then supposedly this comes
I
out,
have
and it has
a
bowl.
dear friend who is an avid popcorn enthusiast who
$10.
uses something similar and swears by it. I
Yeah.
have an air popper, and frankly, thanks to Chuck's really nice popcorn, the kernels are varying sizes. He sent us a variety pack with a ton of different ones, and the smaller, light ones fly out before they've popped, and so you just have like a mess all over the place. I was like just complaining to my wife. I think I'm going to get rid of it, so I'm going to get one of those for him. If
it's a
let me
$10
know.
risk.
Yeah, I
I
think
have
it's
it.
worth
I
it.
have it already, so I'll try it out tonight. It's kind of weird to make when you have kids. It's like weird to make popcorn without the kids, so I kind of have to wait for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also they're so excited about popcorn. Like my daughter will be like, "Should we make some popcorn?" And I'm like,
Cute.
"Yes, yeah, it's great.
Cute.
It's awesome."
Okay, cool. Well, if you guys have any cool recommendations or
Keep them to
anything,
yourself.
listener questions, email us at justshootitpod@gmail.com. You can find us across all social media at justshootitpod. I'm on Instagram at @OKaplan. Carlyn is at Carlyn Hudson. Forgot about you. Sorry, Matt.
That's okay. And I'm at Mr. Madeline Lowe. This episode was edited by Kevin Oying. Thanks, Kevin. Lily Bouvier does our social media, and Tyler is our producer. Thanks to you both. You're listening to music provided by the Free Music Archive and the artist Jazar.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.